Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is JudiciousFire over at iOS. Taking a look at my Castle Clash account. This is the first video that I've uploaded to YouTube. Reason being, I've gotten a number of questions about the account in general, about how one gains might, about what talents going, what heroes, about what heroes to use in certain game modes, here be monsters, dungeons, getting some of the tasks in the game completed. And I was kind of thinking to myself, there are many quality channels out there that provide a lot of information, but I haven't seen a channel on YouTube that looks at Castle Clash from a very strategic, planned, and researched way. That's not a slight against anybody else. I'm just saying that the content would be much more of an adult nature, where we look at what the heroes do, the best combinations to use, those who are motivated enough to go out and actually check things like the forums, Reddit, the wikis, even other YouTube channels will then be rewarded with better gameplay. So we're just looking today at an intro. Best way to introduce oneself is to say, hey, here's my account. Just logged in. Top left screen, you can see my game name, JudiciousFire. Directly below it, you will see 600,000 might. This is on the iOS platform, the iOS server. To my knowledge, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it will not hurt my feelings in any way, but to my knowledge, 600,000 might, and the title of Ascendant 2 has never been achieved before in the game of Castle Clash. As you can see, I'm on the money, on the nose at 600K. The date of today's video is January 1st, 2019. On December 28th, 2018, just a few days ago, I reached 600,000 might. I've been, I guess, purposefully keeping it at 600,000 might, simply because I like the roundness of the number and I like what it represents. There is no might cap at 600,000. This is a question I've gotten at least a dozen times over the last couple of days. Castle Clash allows you to continue to gain might as long as you are able to. And currently, we are able to gain much, much more might than 600,000K. I simply stopped at that number because I thought it would be a nice round number to use. I had to do a little bit of math, this game, and we'll get into that later, hopefully on other videos. This game is very math-oriented, very math-centric. If you do the proper math, you will find that the actual physical actions of your heroes are far superior than if you hadn't done the math. Same thing with might. I was maybe 850 might away from 600K, and I thought, well, every move I make now in terms of gaining might had better equal the number I'm trying to achieve, which was 600K on the nose. So that is Ascendant 2. As far as, this is one other thing I want to point out. This is a true humble brag. This is not a traditional brag in any sense. Where is it? Here we go. This is a true humble brag. I have donated 240 million shards in the course of my gameplay. The humble brag being, I suspect that I'm the most generous shard donator in CC history, which still sounds bad to say, but I'm just pointing that out. 23 messages coming in. We'll get into that later. Today is really just an account review. Sort of what this account is comprised of and some of the things that got me to 600K. My plan is, and again, today's January 1st, 2019. My plan is that before system reset time, that I add a substantial amount of might. I've got a lot of resources just sitting there, things going upgraded, unleveled. So I thought here at the new year I would move on and, add a couple of thousand might. As far as what my goal was, and I want to be very clear to anybody else out there, especially on the iOS server, my goal was never, ever to be rank 1. The way I look at it, rank 1, the person in rank 1, that person changes sometimes every few days. That person changes every few weeks. That person is constantly changing, constantly in a state of flux. But the first person to 600K, Ascendant Level 2, max, as far as this game is concerned, that hasn't been done. That's what my goal was. Now that I've reached that, more than happy, thrilled in fact, for somebody to come swooping in and put their account up at 625. Any oil sheiks that happen to be out there who choose to do it in a week's time, more power to you, friend. So I did what I was after, 600K, and as I've told other players who've messaged me in the game, good luck to you. I hope that you knock me out. I've done what I needed to do. So we're going to take a look first at, I suspect, the guild. I am and I hate to use the word leader, I've never really felt comfortable with that. I am in the guild, always hostile. I happen to have the distinction of leader, but it just simply means that I'm motivated enough to go out, recruit people, place ads, go up on the forums, and I have a idea of what kind of players I'm looking for in terms of their might, their skill development, the heroes that they have, how much background knowledge they might have. And so currently, we just had a Guild Wars. Currently, we're sitting at 71 of 75 members. I never let the guild get full. Once a guild has reached 75 out of 75 members, you can no longer receive applications. And that would be that button right there. Applications will no longer be accepted. In fact, applications can't be sent in any way. So it is a small tip to have 74 out of 75 members. If you're purging your guild after a very unsuccessful Guild Wars, maybe you have some slackers. Maybe you got a couple of people who tell you, hey, I wasn't able to play the game, I wasn't able to do Guild Wars, I wasn't able to do Fortress Feud. Apparently these individuals are vacationing on another planet, but if you have individuals like that in your guild and you choose to kick people out after a major event, I would not go much below 70 out of 75. When you take more than 5 people, or take more than 4 people out of your guild, you tend to have a very negative impact on your guild's overall might. Better to drop a few people, replace them, drop a few more a few days later. Sort of a rotational schedule. So we are always looking for active players. We've got 3 rules in the guild. Rule 1, gain might. We want to raise our overall might standing. That's one of the 2 leaderboards in this game. If you are an active player and you're just playing the normal game, then you'll naturally be gaining might. So I never thought that was a bad rule. 2, make donations. We are currently ranked number 2 on donations. Now, top 5 is almost, for all intents and purposes here, almost double the number of donations as our guild, Always Hostile. Top 5 is run by HCO, one of the great guild leaders. There's nothing but competitive sportsmanship going on between us. If he could take a week off from his donations, that would certainly be appreciated, but I don't think he will. They have definitely clinched first. But if you are able to donate, please donate. Nobody's forced to. I've had people donate 1,000 shards. I've thanked them profusely. I've had people donate 10 million shards, and I've thanked them profusely, because everybody's on a different budget, everybody's on a different schedule, and a different level of development in the game. Here are the here are the might standings. You see, I am currently 21,890 ahead of second. That is no dig on Raffi, who is one of the best players in the game. I'm simply looking at math. Let's see here. So our guild does boss at 2100 and 2130 system time. The Castle Clash clock is on a 24-hour military system time, if you will. So 2100 in your time zone is still game time 2100, and then we also do second boss at 2130. We do Fortress Feud every second Sunday at 2000. We run Lava 3. We run Lava 4. We currently run Infernal Summit 1, 2 without any issue whatsoever. And that's really with no setups. We have a small number of people who are currently running Infernal Summit 4. And if you are paying attention to the updates recently, you know how important Infernal 4 is to get those new resources. So you can always come to us if you're interested in joining. And again, I always leave one space open. Okay. Next will be a trip down the Hero's Altar. Okay. We're looking at 600,000 might distributed over 98 different heroes. As of today's date, there are currently, I believe, 66 unique heroes in the game, meaning each hero counts as one. So 66 out of 98. Going to give you 32. Your fully enlarged altar is always going to have 32 available spaces if you have acquired every hero in the game. Those 32 extra spaces can be used as you'd like. Some people like to fill that 32 groups of spaces with the ordinary heroes, with elite heroes. These are the greens and blues. Greens are tremendous. They give you the ability to garrison your towers. They increase range. They increase firing rate. Blues are equally as powerful in addition to a tower. They increase the health of the building. They increase the damage that is done. So people have traditionally kept their greens and blues, their ordinaries and their elites. There comes a time, though, and this is not everybody's game, it's not everybody's game plan, but there comes a time when you need to bid farewell to your greens and blues. It can be a very painful process. We've been with these characters, with these heroes since day one. My very first Castle Clash hero was Executioner, if I remember correctly. I started on May 15th, 2014. I got an Executioner, and I got a gelatinous champion, the purple slime. I remember spending the first hour of the game just trying to get the purple slime to sit on a hero base and do something. Hence all the forums, chats, and videos that come out about Castle Clash. There are no instructions, everybody. So, you've got 32 extra spaces. Some choose to use ordinaries and elites, but please know this. If you are choosing to gain might, to gain strength, to gain game power, to increase your rewards, to increase your leader standing, to increase your rank, to increase the number of people who maybe want to come to your guild, then you need to jettison the greens and blues. You need to light a funeral pyre, you need to play taps, and you need to say goodbye to these folks. It's a sad thing, but it has to be done. So eventually, I think when I got to about 530,000 might, eventually I started to consume my greens and blues and replace them with legendary heroes. The legendary heroes are going to be worth much more might. I found somewhere around 530k that no matter what I did, I could not get my might to increase. Maybe every 3 or 4 days I'd gain 20 might. But beyond that, I was not gaining any longer. Something had to be done. So I got rid of the blues and greens and I replaced them with legendaries. All of a sudden, my might shot up. So this is just a very, very brief overview of my altar. I am hoping, and I would like to see this as a viewer and a fan of Castle Clash, I am hoping to be able to click on each hero. I have all the unique heroes in the game. Click on each hero. Devote one video. It can even be very short, few minutes. Devote one video to each hero and let you know what that hero does, what that hero does best, what that hero does best in combination with other heroes, what talent or talents is best for that hero, as well as what crest set or insignia, enchantment, traits, the whole shebang. Go through each part, even somebody like this paladin over here. We look at Pally. One might ask, why on earth do you have a level 9 regenerate on Pally? Regenerate does two different things. Regenerate increases healing. Pally doesn't heal. So why? Regenerate increases energy gain. Click on that. Raises heroes' energy recovery by 130%. Paladin has no cooldown. Paladin is one of those old school heroes that never got a cooldown. A cooldown refers to once the skill activates on the hero, once the big damage is done, sometimes heroes have to wait 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds before they're able to proc or cause that big damage again. Paladin does not have that restriction. So by giving him by giving him 130% extra energy recovery, the man just keeps procking and procking and procking. And what ends up happening is his shield remains up the majority of the time. When you equip him with an Empower insignia, he's now granted X number of energy points per second. This is a level 8 insig. So it's going to be 33 energy per second. So every second, this man's getting 33 energy in addition to 130% energy recovery. The man never stops working, is what I'm saying. So I would love to be able to devote a video to each and every one of those heroes. If you take if you take the olden heroes, the ones from the days of yesteryear, the ones from back at 2014, 2015, guys like Thunder God, if you place the proper traits, the proper enchantment, maybe a pet, the right talent, the right insignia, you can really bring them back to life. And there are many of these older heroes that I'm using in different game modes because they do some things very, very well. And Paladin being one of them. You throw him in the front of a fortress feud battle, a whole bunch of big guys behind him, it's lights out. So we have the altar. We'll go into much more detail as it goes. Typically, heroes are arranged by release date. Once they receive a skin or a cosmetic change, which allows them to carry 2 talents, they then move towards the back of the altar by skin release date. Now we get to Ronin, and I want to make this point. Remember those 32 extra slots we talked about a few minutes ago? If you're going to try to push your might, if you're going to try to get stronger in this game, you've got to fill those spaces and fill them with legendary heroes. Among all the legendary heroes, there is a variance in might. So for example, if you took Atlanticore and you maxed Atlanticore out, and I'm just making up a number here just for the sake of the argument, he might be worth 2,000 might. So no matter how many resources you pour into Atlanticore, you can't get more than 2,000 might out of the guy. There are other heroes, though, that are worth much more. One of them, in fact, the one, is Ronin. Castle Clash decided, for whatever reason, to base maximum might score on a hero's foot speed. If the hero can run quickly, the hero is worth more might than a hero who can only walk slowly. There are 3 extremely speedy heroes in this game, and those 3 are worth the most amount of might. Number 1, and in some circles also tied with number 2, it would be Ronin, and it would be Skull Knight. Based on their foot speed, they are worth the most amount of might. I'm going to make up a number here for the sake of the argument. Let's say I pour all of my resources into Ronin. Now all of a sudden, this hero is worth 3,000 might, a full 1,000 might more than Atlanticore. I took the same amount of resources, the same amount of time, the same amount of trouble, but I ended up coming out with 1,000 extra might. So choose carefully what heroes you want to evolve and develop for might purposes. Skull Knight and Ronin are typically the 2 highest in might. I chose Ronin simply because I have the skin for Ronin. I have some really nice traits on Ronin. I think he's a much more usable character than, much more usable hero than Skull Knight. And because of this, my Ronins are worth slightly more in might terms than what my Skull Knights would be. If you're making duplicate copies, as I did, and filling your altar with, let's say, Ronins or Skull Knight or third place Ninja, please know, whatever traits or enchantments you choose to place on that hero, those traits and enchantments will be given to all the other copies of that hero. So if I click on Ronin and I go to equipment, he has a 5 energy sap. If I go to his traits, he's got 5 dodge, 5 health, 5 dodge, 5 crit resist, 5 accuracy. If I choose, go back, a different Ronin, let's go down here, let's say this Empower Ronin, why not? If I go to equipment, he's got 5 energy sap. You only need to do this with one copy of a hero. It then transfers across to all the other copies. I go to equipment, I go to traits, 2 5 dodges, an HP, a dodge, crit resist, and an accuracy. So please, don't think for a moment that if you fill your altar with a whole bunch of Skull Knights or a couple of extra ninjas, that you're going to have to spend the time or the gems to change the enchantments or traits for all of those heroes. They will transfer. We've got 76 messages. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's see. Back to the altar. So each of the empty slots in the altar, 32, I filled with a Skull Knight. With a Ronin. Each talent on the Ronin, I'm not suggesting these talents for anybody. I just chose, I had 32 Ronins. I said there's like 35 plus talents in the game. I'll assign one talent to every Ronin, just because I'm a completionist. We then move on to our other heroes, each one unique to his or herself. And we go to the final hero, Bogeyman, who was not the last hero released, but his skin was the last one released. And it is because of that skin he is logged in as the last in the altar. Okay, as far as next steps are concerned, I've got a warehouse. I've got, let's go in here, sort of an account overview. Now, I would like to bring your attention to these golden books. This is a real first world problem. I'm sorry to complain about this. Many other people on YouTube I have heard complain about this. If you are the kind of individual who does pick things up in the bazaar now and again, you do make a purchase now and again, you will see the tremendous number of Blessed Tome 3s that they're giving out. Sometimes they're giving out 1,500 of these at a time. Our warehouse will only allow us to hold 9,999 of any object. So what ends up happening is you can't collect any of these Blessed Tomes after a certain while. You've reached full capacity. Well, I know the game well. I roll probably 3 million in honor badges every morning when I log into the game, simply to go through my honor badge supply so I can use some of these books. I have done every trick in the book. I cannot convert this resource. I'm stuck. If you look at, let me go to gift packs. If you look at this, inside of this gift pack right here, there's some really nice stuff. I'll take any of these. Problem is, when I finally clear enough space, let's just say 100 books, and I finally use up 100 gold tomes, and I'm able to open one of these, what do I get? I get the 100 books. I'm lucky to be able to open one or two of these a day. This is IGG for you. I wrote them a email. I went to customer support. I wrote them a second email. I went to customer support. I don't know what to tell you. They're thinking about it. So we're moving down. We have a lot of extra skins. And this is another thing I wish they would change about this game. We'll get into gripes and complaints in future videos, but they give you too much of what you don't need or you already have, and not enough of what you need. I've got a bunch of talent runes, a whole bunch of talents in the warehouse just waiting to be used. I've got 70 of these fine enchantment chests. I'd love to be able to open those up tonight. I've got a whole bunch of backups of heroes, just I've accumulated over the years. And 175 of these bad boys. So 177 items in a 360 warehouse. I do try to keep things neat. I have no crests of any kind because I am a pay-to-play player. I don't forge crests. I go to insignia bag, and I just have level 8 insignias that I've either combined out of 7s. If you look down here at Brawler's Favor, if I have a couple of 7s, yeah, I'll do that. A couple of 7s, yeah, I'll turn them into 8s. But I'm not starting at level 1 and spending 4 years in the salt mines trying to mine a level 5 Revite crest. So, plenty of insignias. We can talk about which ones are the best in a future video. I do want to start to bring this to a close. So, as far as our might is concerned, I just wanted to talk briefly about what my altar look like, some of the ways that you can increase might. We can go into more detail later. Actually, even look at might values. Mathematics can be your best buddy in this game. I wanted to give a shout out to our guild, Always Hostile. We're always taking members. If you are active and you're willing to gain might, make some shard donations. Nobody's forced to. And rule number 3, if I didn't mention, you gotta do your guild wars. Okay? When we lose in guild wars, we look bad. And then I get messages telling me that our guild is not the best. And this is heartbreaking. I always defend us, but I'd like to not have to defend so often. This is why I'm going for total annihilation in guild wars next time. We got 2nd place this time. We got 2nd place in Fortress Feud. Once we start beating everybody, I will not be sending evil messages to people. I'll just give them a smile. Have a wonderful night. I believe our boss time will be starting pretty soon. I want to get to these messages, and I will check you on the next video. Have a good one. See ya.